What's going on, New York Giants fans? Hit Squad back at it with another video. We have another episode of the Giant Breakdown. I'm so excited to have this guest on the Hawks Next 206 podcast. My brother, how you doing, man? How's everything going with you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm real excited for Sunday. I'm excited for this game. Excited to, chop it up with you today.
Yeah, facts. And I'm very excited too. Who would have thought that this would be as hyped of a game as it is right now going into this season? Both teams, there's a lot at stake for both teams. Got to give a lot of credit to the Seahawks for how things are going over there. But before we get into this video, you guys can find the Hawks Next 206 podcast linked to their Twitter as well as their YouTube channel in the description box below. Also, join the Hit Squad while you're at it. We're almost at 500 subscribers. Leave a like and don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well. My man, going into this Sunday, who would have thought that this would have been as hyped up as a game as it is right now? The 6-1 Giants taking on the first place Seahawks. Let me ask you, what's going on with the Seahawks? Why are they winning these games? What's changed? Because as an outside fan, I would have thought that there's some QB controversy going on with Drew Lock and Geno, but it obviously seems, it seems like it's Geno's job to lose at this point. But what's really going on with the Seahawks?
You know, I, Pete Carroll has had this, mantra about him. It's always compete. Coming and having so much success in the college football, bringing it to the NFL. The next man up, always compete mantra. And they got rid of they traded Russell away, got rid of Bobby. Everybody thought it was a rebuilding, and he was very adamant on this isn't a rebuild. This is a retool. We're going to get some of those older players out, bring some young people in, and everyone's just bought in on that competition right now. Everyone's bought in on that, us against, the world. We got something to prove, and everyone's just very bought in right now, and it's showing on the field. Geno, felt, like he said, they wrote me off, but he didn't write back. He's out for something to prove. Some of these rookies, like Tyreek Woolen, had a great combine, fell to the 5th round. And look what he's doing now in his rookie year: 4 interceptions in 4 games. He's competing with Sauce for that defensive rookie of the year. You got Kobe Bryant, who also got picked in the 4th round. He was actually the nation's best corner in college football, and he fell to the 4th round. So, you have all these players that are just bought into the, we got something to prove, and we're going to show you. And that's what they're doing right now.
No, I definitely like that. And, as a Giants fan, we can relate. For us, this is a rebuild. It's not so much of a retool, but, a lot of fans, as well as these players, are just bought into this team, bought into this regime, and I think that when you have a team that's fully bought in, that not only helps your team, but, it helps establish the culture over there. Obviously, I don't, as a fan, as a Giants fan, really know what happened behind the scenes between the Seahawks and, Russell Wilson. But it seems like those players are a lot happier right now. It seems like the vibes over there in Seattle are really good with the team. And, same with the Giants. The last couple seasons, things have been very toxic, very chaotic, not really having a sense of direction. And for the first time, as a Giants fan in quite some time, we feel that we're headed in the right direction. We're coached very well. And credit to both of these teams this Sunday, who I felt had an excellent draft. I thought the Seahawks had one of the best drafts throughout the NFL. I thought the Giants were one of those teams as well. But I think that a lot of players that are stepping up for you guys seem to be coming from this rookie class. Is that correct?
Yeah, you got all that, that young, meat, everyone, I think it's the first time it has happened in like 30 years. You have tackles starting on each side. A lot of people were worried about, what is it going to be like with having a right tackle and a left tackle both be rookies? What kind of, where are they going to be at being so young and, being rookies? And they've held up their own. They've held up their own end of the bargain, and starting 2 rookie corners. That's a lot of rookies. Right now they have 5 starting rookies right now. between your tackles, your running back, and your two corners. And then you got Boye Mafe, who's an edge rusher, who's also started a game for you. So you have 6 players in your draft class that have became starters.
Yeah.
That's a home run to me.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
they just came in ready to compete. They knew that, like, hey, we see you guys have some openings. We see you guys, need some juice into this team, and they brought both.
Yeah, and the Giants, we could definitely relate to that. A lot of the rookies that we drafted this year are being impact players for us. Rookie tackle Evan Neal, right now he's dealing with a grade 2 MCL sprain. But, prior to that and outside of the Dallas game, he's been fairly solid for us. He's definitely stepped up. Rookie wide receiver Wandale Robinson, that we took in the second round, has really stepped up in this offense. He missed a lot of time with the sprain as well. You also have rookie edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau, he's looking like he's about to have a breakout game. He gets closer week in and week out. Now, we did have a tight end that we drafted in Daniel Bellinger, who he looked very solid, was getting more acclimated into the offense, really was establishing himself as our tight end one. He will not be playing in this game, dealing with an orbital fracture in his eye. Um, you also have Joshua Izudu, who's a guard for the Giants, who played fairly solid for us this past week against Jacksonville when he had to step up. And, I think both of these teams, they're coached very well. I got to give a lot of credit to Pete Carroll because, again, you trade out Russell Wilson, and from the outside looking in, it was like, okay, like this is going to be a team that is just going to be drafting high. This is going to be a team that is just going to be, trying to do what they can to get, at least in the top 5 in the draft. And it's the complete opposite. They are competing. They are showing that, hey, we can win with Geno Smith. We can win with the roster that we have now, on top of the accrued picks that you guys got from the Russell Wilson, trade. So I think you guys are in some good hands there. And I'm very excited for Geno. He's not the Geno Smith that we saw over here in New York with the Giants in his little stint, nor with the Jets. I got to give a lot of credit there, man. Let me ask you, as a fan, I'm very confident in our defense. We've been able to shut out Aaron Rodgers in the second half, Lamar Jackson. We did fairly solid against Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. How is Metcalf looking? Because I think if Metcalf is out, it leaves, for me at least, it leaves me with more hope that we can really pull out with the win in this game.
So right now, his test came back negative. He doesn't need surgery. He's not practicing all week, but he did have a couple times dealing with different injuries prior years where he would sit out during the week and still play on Sunday. So right now, I feel like it's a very true game time decision. Pete just re-signed him, gave him all that money. He's going to want to, he's going to want to make good on his investment. He doesn't want him to get banged up. So right now, I feel like it's just a true game time decision. Metcalf's a very strong wide receiver. He wants to play. He said he wanted to already practice already. Pete's keeping him out. So yeah, it's just a game time decision to see, if he's going to be in there or not.
No, definitely. And I will agree there. He is one tough wide receiver. He's just, not just on the field, but I also think off the field, you look at, him partaking in those, I don't want to say Olympic events, but I think, if he had, proper training in that respect, he could be an Olympian. I think we could both agree there. But I think if Metcalf is out, man, that changes that offense a little bit. I like what you guys have done with Lockett. I think he's playing the longevity role where he could do, if he wanted to, some of the things that he's done in the past, but he's still being very productive in the passing game. He's picking up chunk yards, getting down when he needs to avoid injury. Smart, considering he's an older wide receiver. But then you also, I believe his name is Marquise Goodwin, correct? That you guys have? He looked very solid against the Chargers, and I'm thinking as a fan, okay, if we can stop Kenneth Walker, I have no problem with Geno Smith, trying to air the ball out on us. Because, our run attack in the beginning half of the year was very solid. Shut down Christian McCaffrey, shut down Derrick Henry. In recent weeks, that hasn't been the story with the Giants. I mean, our run attack on the defensive side has been pretty bad. Travis Etienne tore us up. You look at the Ravens the week prior. I mean, it was really bad. Kenyon Drake looked like rookie Ezekiel Elliott out there running the ball on us. So I mean, with Kenneth Walker, with how he's been playing, if we could stop him, I give the Giants a chance. But I'm not. I'm looking at this as a close game. I
Mm-hmm.
really am because both of these teams, I honestly think it could go either way. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I really can. And this isn't a team that the Giants, let alone Giants fans, should be sleeping on. Because, I mean, again, I think you guys are playing over expectations than what I feel a lot of people had. And I mean, it's only
Yeah.
going to get better. I mean, he's only going to get more comfortable in this offense. He's only going to get more comfortable with, the pieces that they have around him. And again, that defense. I mean, seriously, that defense is looking fairly solid. Now, I want to ask you this before we pivot to the next conversation. I look at Saquon Barkley in this game. I have him penciled in to have a huge game. I actually have him penciled in to run at least 150 yards in this game because I look at that ground
Mm-hmm.
game on the Seahawks defense, and I think they could be had. I mean, I believe they're giving up, what is it, 4.9 yards per carry right now on the defensive side of
Yeah.
the ball.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
question to you is, do you trust your defense enough to stop Saquon on the ground?
They so beginning of the year, start of the season, they were giving up chunk plays to running backs left and right. I mean, it was an Oprah Winfrey show in there. You get a first down. Everyone get a first down. That's how bad it was. And then they go into Arizona. They had a very solid outing. You see that defense kind of turning the head, and then they go and only hold Austin Eckler, one of the most elusive backs in the NFL, that could do it all, catch and rush out the thing, and they held them to 53 yards. So, they're coming in their own and everything, but Saquon's he's a different animal. So
Yeah,
it
he
is
is.
a 50-50. Are you going to get that defense from the last two games? Are they going to keep on that, or are they going to revert back to how they're going? And right now, with how Pete has his team going, I have nothing makes me think, oh, they're going to just revert back and then they're just going to give it up. For me, it's all kind of like what personnel they have and who they're going to have out there to go. They can mix in a lot of different fronts in there to try to slow Saquon down, but it's not even just Saquon that you have to worry about in the rush. I mean, you seen what Daniel Jones did last week. He can put up 100 yards on you too, and they let Taysom Hill in the Saints game, Seattle did put up 100 yards rushing on them. So it's you got a rushing yard by committee, so they're going to be on their toes in this game.
No, definitely, definitely. And that leads me to, what are your expectations in this game? Are there any players maybe that you're looking out for on the Seahawks that you feel can have a big game? What are your overall expectations?
All right, so I got a couple keys. I got some defensive and some offensive. For
Take it away.
defenses, we just talked stop the run, and that has to do with, like we just said, Saquon and Jones. If you can stop that rushing attack, it helps because of the fact that New York is in need of some wide receiver help.
Okay.
Their wide receiver one doesn't even have 200 receiving yards on the season, so it's a better chance of you being able to stop Daniel Jones and make Daniel Jones beat you in the pass game if you can stop the rush. That's a little easier said than done, but
Definitely.
was one of my top defensive takeaways. Another one is don't let those receivers, because Seattle has had in the Lions game. They had their top two wide receivers out, and they still won in the shootout.
Yeah.
you know, when they're down their top playmakers, you're supposed to answer that call, shut them down. Seattle has, let them. So those are my defensive takeaways right now. I'm looking for them to stop the run. Don't get beat by the limited pass catchers that the Giants have right now. On offense, start fast. Seattle has been one of the top five offensive units right now, and they score fast. They've been putting up a lot of points. So my thing is to score fast, put up a lot of points, but don't put your foot on the brake. If you've seen any Giants games, second half is a whole different thing. And it doesn't matter if you're down, if you're up by a couple touchdowns, New York can come back on you. So I want them to start fast, put their foot on the gas pedal, and don't go off, because New York is a good team. That defense has been playing really good, and just put your foot on the gas pedal. Don't let it off and spread the ball. Without DK being there, it opens up a lot of opportunities. They run that 3 tight end bunch a lot. They like to mix it up to their tight ends. Spread the ball, put your foot on the gas. My offensive takeaways, my defensive takeaways. I'm also looking to see what wide receiver steps up if DK cannot play. Because Tyler Lockett, is your 1A, 1B, and, he didn't have nothing but 43 receiving yards. You think with DK going down, Tyler can step up. So is Tyler going to step up and be your wide receiver 1, or are they just going to go by a committee, those tight ends, and just mix in some wide receivers?
Yeah, those are some good points. And I think if you are a Seahawks fan, make Daniel Jones beat you through the air. As a Giants fan, I look at it as he's been playing very solid, especially the last 3 games. Really since the Chicago game, he's been playing very well. And you're right. This is a team that in the second half they could come back and really dominate. They are outscoring teams by a wide margin in the second half. And when I look at the Giants, I'm very excited again for Saquon. You can get him active not only in the running game, but in the passing game as well. I'm also excited for Daniel Jones. It seems that him and rookie wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson are developing a little bit of a chemistry. Darius Slayton, he's a guy that can really stretch the field. He has burner speed. He can get those contested catches. Had a nice contested catch for a touchdown last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I really want to see the Giants offense take off like they did on that first drive against Jacksonville. They really picked up the pace. Daniel Jones, I think that was honestly one of my favorite, if not favorite, game from him this season. He looked very confident. He showed a lot of emotion. He was evading pressure. He was picking up plays, not only through the air, but with his legs as well. Like you said, had over 100 yards on the ground. But right now, the Giants, it's a next man up mentality. We have a lot of players that are injured. Again, Evan Neal, our right tackle, isn't going to be in this game. Our guard, Ben Bredesen, isn't going to be in this game. So we're going to be having Tyree Phillips play at right tackle, who actually played very solid when Evan Neal went out last game against the Jaguars. Joshua Ezeudu is a rookie guard that we picked up this past draft. Looked fairly solid for us as well. But, at the wide receiver position, we need players to step up. We had 6 drops last week against Jacksonville alone. And they were very, very crucial drops. One of them could have been a touchdown. The other one would have at least shortened the distance to pick up a huge first down. It was, I believe, 3rd and 20 at that point. He could have easily converted it. But again, this isn't going to be an easy game for either team, I feel. I think it's going to come down to the wire. What are your predictions in this game? What do you feel would be the end scoreboard versus the Giants?
If I'm looking at it, and if you look at the betting favorites, a 3-point favorite, Seattle is at home, and if I want to take the under or the over, I wouldn't take either. I would take that 3 points. I feel like this is a closer game than people think. You have the Giants defense and the Seattle's defense right now that are both on like a bend, don't break. Because the one thing about New York right now is they might not be putting up a lot of points, but they don't let you put up a lot of points. So they're both on these bend, don't break games. For me, I'm hovering over like a 30-27, Seattle at home. But it could easily go the other way. This is a thing where, Seattle, last week they had 2 potential drop picks on Justin Herbert. You have to make those plays against good teams, so I'm looking for them to step up against good teams and play to that level, because some of those mistakes, and Seattle's been like one of the most penalized teams in the league this year. They have to limit the mistakes. They don't let them. If they don't limit those mistakes, they can drown and easily lose a game that they could have won, but they shot themselves in the foot.
Definitely, and I can absolutely, understand that and relate to that. For the Giants, we didn't play a good game last week. It was enough for us to win, but it literally came down to the 1 yard line. The defense, like you stated, they're not giving up a lot of points, and again, this team can shut you out in the second half. For me, I want to see them build off of last week. I want to see a better product on the field than what we saw, especially on the offense. Now, again, in the running game, I expect Saquon to be huge in this game, as well as Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is a player that I'm looking at in this game that I feel could have a big game, but I feel he's going to do just enough for the Giants to come out with the win. And on the defensive side, I really want to see Kayvon Thibodeau get, active in this game. I want safety Xavier McKinney, who he's been playing very well for us. He's a captain. He wears the green dot on our defense. In my opinion, one of the best safeties in this league. He's been getting, more comfortable in this defense. He had a crucial strip on Travis Etienne, which saved, Jacksonville from scoring a touchdown, really changed the tides for us in this game. But I got to see a better product on the field because, to your credit, I mean, this could be a very, very close game. And I'm actually there with you. I actually had the Giants winning this game 27-24. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really going to come down to the wire, but I'm also aware that this game could go either way. The Seahawks could pull out a win in this game. They have proved that they can really air the ball. They proved that, they can, go in these shootout type games. They can also grind it out as well. So I think, in my honest opinion, outside of Harbaugh, I was very vocal in saying this. Pete Carroll was the only coach on our roster, excuse me, not our roster, but our schedule that I really respected because that he's going to have his team ready week in and week out. They're going to be coached up well, and they're going to give you 100%. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
very, very excited for this game because again, these two teams are playing for something. Giants are trying to go 7-1. We as fans, as well as the players inside, are having a Giants versus the world type mentality. So as you stated earlier, with the Seahawks having that mentality as well. I mean, this honestly, I feel like this isn't getting the attention that it deserves for a
No,
game.
no, I totally. I mean, I saw a tweet the other day that they're like, flex this game, to prime time.
They
It's the
should.
only game this week that is a versus with teams above 500 that are playing each other. It should be the game of the week this week.
I agree.
So I feel like it's a game that in the beginning of the year no one's like, oh, pencil this game in. This is going to be a tough game, but you got New York trying to keep that win streak alive, nipping at Philly's heels, and then you got Seattle trying to stay first in their division and prove that they're a team that isn't just tanking. So it's a very good game, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this game unfolds.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Likewise, it's going to be a great one. I can't wait to get your thoughts on the game afterwards. But we're going to end this here. It's been a great show. I've had a pleasure talking to you, man. Definitely. Again, you guys can find the HawksNest206 podcast, YouTube and Twitter in the description box below. My man, before we head out, you got anything else you want to tell the people?
Thank you for listening. Thanks you for being a part of this. It's been a blast being on here, talking to you, chatting with you with sports, and this game on Sunday. And thank you guys. We'll put my description below if you guys want any Seahawks content. You can come and look on my page. And thank you guys again.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll see you guys on the next video. Let us know your thoughts below. What are some players you're looking at in this game? And what are your expectations for this game? It's going to be a good one. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next video.